This evening, first, a high-ranking housing official resigns amid a U.S. corruption complaint, but says it's not an admission of guilt. Plus, a tragic motorcycle crash claims the life of an 18-year-old. What police says about the driver behind the wheel. And as land allocation sparks nationwide debate, President Ali defends his government's policies, promising fairness for all. Also, Guyanese travelers are getting a major passport upgrade. What you need to know about the new 10-year validity. Finally, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio takes on a second role that could shake up global humanitarian aid. Stay tuned, these stories and more tonight on Headline News Update. Welcome to this broadcast of Channel 2's Headline News Update for February 4th, 2025. I'm Bibi Bacchus. Thank you for joining us. First up, the Chief Executive Officer of the Central Housing and Planning Authority, Sherwin Graves, has resigned following a complaint filed with the U.S. Department of Justice regarding a real estate transaction in New York. However, he maintains that his resignation is not an admission of guilt. In a statement issued earlier today, Graves clarified that his decision to step down was personal after consulting with his family. He cited social media posts targeting him personally, which he says has caused distress to his family and affected their well-being. The controversy stems from an allegation that Sherwin Graves was involved in a property purchase in New York, raising questions about potential links to official land sales in Guyana. However, Graves did not confirm whether he is the same individual named in the U.S. property records. Terrence Campbell on Saturday said on his Facebook profile that he filed a report with the U.S. Justice Department urging an investigation into a Sherwin Graves purchase of a property from Reliable Customs Builders Incorporated, represented by Rashad Ahmad, citing that Sherwin Graves' property purchase in New York may have been somewhat shady. He suspects that Graves might have given favors in Guyana's land sales in exchange for the property, which could be illegal under U.S. anti-corruption law. He also called for broader investigations into the Ahmad family's business activities in Guyana. Ahmad's company, New Global Investment Corporation, recently signed an agreement to purchase land at Ogle, East Coast of Marara, for $30 million per acre for a high-end housing project. Meanwhile, opposition leader Nigel Hughes has called on CHNPA to disclose the criteria for selling land in Ogle, insisting that there should be transparency in the process. While Graves' resignation has fueled speculations, the government has not yet indicated whether any formal investigation into the allegations will be conducted. On a different note, tragedy struck on the west coast of Demerara as a late-night motorcycle accident claimed the life of an 18-year-old and left his brother severely injured. We go now to Malcolm Carter for more details on this developing story.
18-year-old Finidi Miggins lost his life and his brother Teron Miggins was injured in a fatal motorcycle accident on Sunday night on the Den Amstel Public Road, West Coast, Demerara. The brothers were riding an unregistered motorcycle, JSP4, when Finidi, attempting to overtake another vehicle at high speed, ended up in the path of a car, PAJ 7560, driven by 26-year-old Gavin Seymour Bacchus. The head-on collision sent both brothers flying onto the road. They were rushed to the Lenore Cottage Hospital when Finidi succumbed to his injuries while receiving medical attention. Teron, who suffered multiple broken limbs, was later transferred to the West Demerara Regional Hospital. Police investigations revealed that Bacchus was intoxicated at the time of the incident. A breathalyzer test confirmed he was over the legal alcohol limit. He was arrested and later appeared before Magistrate Alicia George at the Lenore Magistrates Court, where he pleaded guilty to driving under the influence. Bacchus was fined $100,000 for the offense and expressed regret over the incident, vowing to avoid drinking and driving in the future. Investigations into the fatal accident remain ongoing. Reporting for Headline News Update, Malcolm Carter.
Thanks, Malcolm. Amid growing concerns about land and land allocations in the Ministry of Housing and Water, President Dr. Mohamed Irfan Ali has reaffirmed that the government's policies apply equally to everyone. His remarks came as many Guyanese struggle to secure house lots despite following the legal process, with some waiting since 2013. He emphasized that less than 10% of the developed land is allocated to private developers, countering claims of favoritism.
Over the last 4 years would have seen massive investment in infrastructure, in development, in land allocation, in regularization. In the last 4 years, we have allocated more than 40,000 plots of land and pieces of land from the Ministry of Housing alone across the country. When you look at the total acreage of lands that has been divested directly into the hands of ordinary Guyanese, more than 40,000 of those Guyanese, families, young professionals. When you look at the total acreage that was developed and divested into the hands of these Guyanese, as against the acreage that would have been allocated for private development or for development by private developers. That allocation for private developers and commercial purposes is less than 10%, of the lands allocated for housing and house lots.
In a national address, President Ali defended the PPPC's administration's approach to land distribution, stating that any breach of agreement would result in repossession. His remarks were in response to opposition leader Nigel Hughes' concerns about the allocations of a residential project in Ogle. Hughes has publicly called on CHNPA to reveal the criteria for selling prime land in the Ogle area for $30 million per acre, after CHMPA said there was no preferential treatment and the price is standard for all commercial lands.
No land can be transferred or vested without the full payment. And that's not all. If you look at the condition, you will see that there must be the installation of drainage, including concrete drains, irrigation roads, including internal roads and street lighting, within 18 months of the date of this agreement. Further, substantial completion or substantially completing 70% of the residential construction within 3 years of the date of the agreement. Not only within 18 months, they have to substantially complete all the infrastructure, but within 3 years, 70% of all the residential construction must also be completed. It goes further to say, of course, the purchase price for all of the developers is $30 million per acre and 30% deposit upon signing of the agreement. The balance of the purchase price shall be paid to the vendor within 18 months. That will be paid to CHPA within 18 months of the date of this agreement, And further, not only payment must be made, and the substantial completion of infrastructure works, at which time, only at that time, title to the property shall be passed to the purchaser.
The president noted that the agreement did not stop there, but continued.
So none of these developers would have title until all of these conditions are satisfied. And if they don't satisfy the condition, that we go further. This is the agreement we signed. If the infrastructure works are not substantially completed within 18 months, the vendor, that is CHPA, shall be under no obligation to accept the balance of the purchase price and convey title to the purchaser, and may, at this point, terminate the agreement, and not only terminate the agreement, and retain 30% of the deposit. That was the agreement. This is the agreement we signed. Further, ownership of the property will be transferred in the name of the purchaser on publication of the sale in the official gazette.
President Ali also criticized the former AP and UFC government for allegedly selling land below market values to allies and finalizing questionable transactions even after losing the 2020 elections. The president highlighted the government's achievement in housing, noting that since 2020, over 40,000 house lots have been distributed and investments have surpassed over $240 billion. However, with a $135 billion budget for housing in 2025, President Ali reiterated the government's commitment to ensuring affordable house ownership for all Guyanese. His remark comes as many Guyanese struggle to secure a piece of land to build a place to call their home. Stick around when we return. Government introduced 10-year modern passports and Sheriff Holdings denies links to convicted fraudster Ed Hamad amid controversy.
It's Digicell's 18th anniversary and we're going big with our blowout sale. Get up to 40% off Samsung smartphones. Yes, you heard that right. 40% off Samsung smartphones. Grab the Samsung A05 for just $17,000, the A15 for only $27,000, and the A25 at a jaw-dropping $35,000. But wait, there's more. With every purchase, enjoy a 30-day free data plan to stay connected. Hurry to a Digicel store near you. Offer good while stocks last. Digicel, the network for everyone, everywhere.
Sneakily with a gift of sight from Modern Optical Services. Let our professional team examine and prescribe what's best for your eyes. Common smiles make fashionable faces. See us for a full line of optical services, including brand name and prescription eyewear. Modern Optical Services, 316 Mill Street, Georgetown. Telephone 226-1082.
Good girl forget things.
What's the problem, Granny?
I want money for borrow for those surgery. I was dancing and I fall and fracture my hip.
If you need some quick money, you should check Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop, lot 238 South Road, Border, Georgetown. Get jewelry made to order in just 72 hours. We also accept vehicles. Lender's, best rates, longest payback period.
Boys, I get through. Plus, I could dance again.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Furnishing your home or office has never been easier. Here at Kissoon's, our inventory of locally made and imported furniture, offered at amazing prices, will leave you wanting more. From vinyl, floor rugs and carpets, bedroom, dining and living room sets, mattresses, pillows, office desk, chairs and filing cabinets, outdoor benches and tables. We have a piece of furniture for every room imaginable in your home or office. Check out our flagship store at Industrial Site Rijnveld or one of our branches in New Amsterdam, Port Morant, Riverton and Camp Street. Kissoon's Furniture, furnishing homes for over 50 years.
Welcome back. Exciting changes are coming for Guyanese travelers as the government prepares to introduce modern passports with a 10-year validity period, doubling the current 5-year lifespan. For more on what this means for citizens and when they can expect the rollout, we turn to Malcolm Carter with the details.
Guyana will soon roll out modern passports with a 10-year validity period, replacing the current 5-year documents. Deputy Chief Immigration Officer Stephen Telford announced during a recent interview highlighting ongoing efforts to upgrade the country's travel documents to meet international standards.
These forms are usually given to you as a passenger when you either departing the country or you are arriving. So what we would have done is move the form to another level, since the world is going in a technological age now and everything seems to be online. And that in itself assists you tremendously in your day-to-day activities.
The new passports will incorporate advanced security features to enhance safety, reduce fraud, and facilitate smoother international travel. The initiative aligns the global best practices, ensuring Guyanese passport holders benefit from improved document durability and streamlined immigration processes.
We all know all the airports all over the world full with Wi-Fi, so there's no big issue for the Wi-Fi to access the ED form. So once you scan the QR code, immediately what pops up is the access to the ED form, and there immediately you make the decision whether you are departing or you are arriving. The same set of information that you will require to put in that hard copy form, it will be the same set of information that you will be required to put into that electronic form. Now, on the completion of that, you send the form to our border management system and it awaits you there. So once you arrive and your passport is scanned, we recognize that you fill up the form. Hence, you clear the immigration. You have the requisite permit, which is in form of a stamp, and then you carry on your journey.
The move follows similar advancements by other nations aiming to enhance document security while reducing the frequency of renewal for travelers. The extended validity period is expected to ease the burden on citizens who must renew their passports every 5 years. Authorities have yet to confirm the exact launch date, but the transition to the upgraded passports is expected in the near future. Reporting for Headline News Update, Malcolm Carter.
Thanks, Malcolm. Sheriff Holdings Incorporated has publicly distanced itself from Idul Ahmad, a convicted fraudster in the United States, following scrutiny over a questionable land purchase in Oval, East Baton, Demerara. The company issued a full-page ad in the local newspaper, stating that Ahmad is not associated with them despite being related to its owners. Ahmad, listed as Secretary Director of Global Investment Incorporated, allegedly facilitated the purchase of 30 acres of prime land from the Central Housing and Planning Authority in July of 2024 for $30 million Guyana dollars per acre. Opposition leader Nigel Hughes has questioned the transaction, arguing that similar lands cost far more. CHMPA has defended the deal, stating it followed due process and that all developers paid a standard price. However, concerns persist about Ahmad's involvement, given his history of mortgage fraud in the U.S., for which he was sentenced to 2 years in prison in 2017. The controversy has fueled calls for greater transparency in government land sales, with critics demanding an official statement on the deal's legitimacy. Don't go away after the break. El Salvador offers to lock up U.S. criminals in its mega jail, and U.S. top diplomat demands Panama reduce China influence over Canal.
Digicel is celebrating 18 amazing years, and we're giving you the ultimate shopping spree. That's right, top up with $1,000 or more, and you could be one of 4 lucky winners, each walking away with up to $1 million in groceries. Imagine filling your carts with everything you need and more, absolutely free. Top up now and get ready to dash for carts full of groceries. Digicel, the network for everyone, everywhere.
Furnishing your home or office has never been easier. Here at Kissoon's, our inventory of locally made and imported furniture, offered at amazing prices, will leave you wanting more. From vinyl, floor rugs and carpets, bedroom, dining and living room sets, mattresses, pillows, office desk, chairs and filing cabinets, outdoor benches and tables. We have a piece of furniture for every room imaginable in your home or office. Check out our flagship store at Industrial Site Rijnveld or one of our branches in New Amsterdam, Port Morant, Riverton and Camp Street. Kissoon's Furniture, furnishing homes for over 50 years.
Sneakily with a gift of sight from Modern Optical Services. Let our professional team examine and prescribe what's best for your eyes. Current smiles make fashionable faces. See us for a full line of optical services, including brand name and prescription eyewear. Modern Optical Services. 316 Middle Street, Georgetown. Telephone 226-1082.
Good girl forget things.
What's the problem, Granny?
I want money for borrow for those surgery. I was dancing and I fall and fracture my hip.
If you need some quick money, you should check Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop, lot 238 South Road Border, Georgetown. Get jewelry made to order in just 72 hours. We also accept vehicles. Lenders, best rates, longest payback period.
Boys, I get through. Plus, I could dance again. Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Welcome back. Now we take a look at what's happening in the region and around the world.
Good evening, I'm Malcolm Carter and welcome to our regional and international news segment, which keeps you informed and up to date with trending news stories worldwide. In Jamaica, a 74-year-old bishop was shot and killed outside his Portmore Gardens home after being called out by unknown persons. The well-respected pastor and justice of the peace served over 40 churches and never closed his ministry, even in violent areas. His grieving family and church members gathered in prayer, seeking justice. Authorities have yet to establish a motive as investigations continue. Meanwhile, in Central America, El Salvador has offered to house criminals deported from the US, including American citizens, in its mega prisons. The proposal was announced after US Secretary of State Marco Rubio met with President Nayib Bukele. Bukele, known for his tough stance on crime, said the plan would help sustain El Salvador's prison system. Rubio praised the offer, calling it an unprecedented act of friendship. Human rights groups remain critical. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio ended his Panama visit by overseeing deportations of undocumented migrants. He emphasized cooperation with regional allies to curb migration and deter traffickers. Al Jazeera's Lucille Newman reports.
U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio ended his two-day visit to Panama, overseeing the deportation of 36 undocumented migrants and the expulsion of 7 others accused of crimes. It's a theme that will dominate the rest of Rubio's trip to Central America and the Dominican Republic. He described it as one of the great tragedies of the modern era.
It's not good for anyone. The only people who benefit from mass migration are traffickers. And so this is a program that shows how cooperating with our strong allies here in Panama can help to stem the flow by creating a disincentive, by sending a clear message that if you come and you come irregularly, you may be stopped and you may be returned to your country of origin.
Cooperation on undocumented migration is what the White House is looking for in the region. Panama is now offering to expand that cooperation by facilitating a small airport in the Darién Gap for the United States to directly deport undocumented migrants that come into this country on their way to the United States. Amid speculation that could become a U.S. military base, the president here says that it will be operated only by civilians from both countries. President José Raúl Mulino described it as a mutually beneficial deal.
The United States will pay for the entire thing. Panama won't invest a penny in improvements that may be needed at the airport, which I think meets the necessary requirements for this venture.
As for the U.S. Secretary of State, he left without taking questions about the controversial issue of the Panama Canal, including new threats from the White House to take it over, if significant changes are not made to China's alleged control of the waterway. Lucia Newman, Al Jazeera, Panama City, Panama.
Finally, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio says he's also now the acting administrator for the Federal Humanitarian Aid Agency that Elon Musk wants to shut down. That would cut off $40 billion in aid to countries around the world. Al Jazeera's Heidi Zocastro reports.
With the headquarters of USAID sealed, its staffers told to stay home, a crowd of aid workers and their supporters gathered outside in an impromptu protest.
It's not just about helping other countries, but there's just immense benefits for the United States.
Democratic members of Congress tried to enter the USAID offices as well and were turned around by guards.
This is a constitutional
crisis that we are in today. Let's call it what it is.
Elon Musk has been tasked by President Trump to downsize the federal government and bring it in line with Trump's America First policies. The billionaire said, without evidence on X, that USAID is a, quote, criminal organization, claiming Trump wants to shut it down.
On Saturday, several people with Musk's Department of Government Efficiency showed up here at the USAID's headquarters demanding access to the building. Two top USAID security officials try to block their access to classified information. Now those officials have been put on leave.
USAID, run by radical lunatics, and we're getting them out.
During Trump's first term in office, his daughter Ivanka Trump worked with the agency to help millions of women and children in the developing world. The White House says Trump is in talks with USAID officials to gut the agency and merge what's left with the U.S. State Department. Secretary of State Marco Rubio confirmed he's now USAID's acting director and accused its previous leaders of insubordination.
Everything they do has to be in alignment with the national interest in the foreign policy of the United States.
USAID is the world's largest distributor of food assistance. It provides humanitarian relief in Ukraine and drives global campaigns against COVID-19 and HIV/AIDS. Upon taking office, Trump ordered a 90-day pause to U.S. foreign aid. Life-saving programs were later announced to be exempt, but NGO workers say the rollout has been so chaotic that even now, African AIDS patients are being turned away from U.S.-funded clinics.
There already is suffering all over the world as a result of this. But it's not just that. It's that instability from starvation and disease will visit us in the United States of America.
Democrats are vowing to block confirmation of Trump's State Department nominations until USAID is restored. But many aid workers say they're fearful of further stoking Trump's anger. Heidi Jo Castro, Al Jazeera, Washington.
That wraps up our regional and international news segment for tonight. Thank you for joining us as we bring you the latest updates from around the globe. I'm Malcolm Carter. Good night. See you next time. Back to you, Bibi.
Thanks, Malcolm. Up next is the 3D weather forecast. And that's it, TV2 Headline News for this Tuesday evening. As we take our leave, we invite you to follow us on Facebook and YouTube. You can tune in tomorrow at 6:30 a.m. for rebroadcast and at 7 p.m. for more news. Until then, please take care of yourself and each other.